Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Ex-Pittsburgh QB Mason Rudolph enters Monday Night Football game in relief of injured Will Levis. Former Pittsburgh Steelers Mason Rudolph, now serving as a backup to Titans starter Will Levis, has entered the Monday Night Football game against the Miami Dolphins. Levis went down with what appears to be a shoulder injury. He went to the blue medical tent after being taken down hard and tried to throw afterward and was in obvious pain. Per the Titans, Levis is questionable to return. It's an opportunity for the coaching staff to evaluate Rudolph with the starter on the sideline, and Rudolph appears to be running the offense more efficiently than Levis was. To the credit of Najee Harris, he is standing up for Steelers teammate Justin Fields after Sunday's loss to the Indianapolis Colts by a 27-24 score. Was quarterback Fields too sloppy, as Coach Mike Tomlin put it? Yes. At the same time, Fields threw for 312 yards and a touchdown and ran 55 yards on 10 attempts for another 2 TDs. But Najee made his point after the game when he was asked about Fields. "You always keep putting it on one person," Harris snapped back. "It's a whole team, all 11 of us. Stop making it one player. You all keep saying Justin, if like he's the one that is throwing, catching and running. Come on bro, it's all of us." September 29. Greatest Pittsburgh Steelers coach Mike Tomlin thinks quarterback Justin Fields, who did throw for 312 yards in Sunday's 27-24 loss at the Colts, was too sloppy, but ex-coach Rex Ryan, now trying to shock-jock his way through a TV career, leans heavily the other way. Said Ryan before the game, "This might go down as one of the greatest trades in the history of the National Football League. They got him for a 6th-round pick. You got a future franchise quarterback for a 6th-round pick. To us, Fields remains a prospect. Most NFL people we talk to feel the same way. Is Ryan that poor at talent evaluation? That poor at TV? What is this?" September 25. Catch a train. The Pittsburgh Steelers drafted 3rd-round pick Roman Wilson from Michigan with big plans. He was Hines Ward Jr., remember? Suddenly, that seems like a while ago, as we are entering NFL Week 4 and he hasn't played a snap. Injuries have been a part of this. But on a receiver-needy team, what's up? He just gotta keep working, Coach Mike Tomlin said. It is very difficult to get on a moving train. The Steelers are undefeated. And Wilson's been dinged up. Eventually, though. My advice to him is to keep working and take that opportunity when that door is left ajar and to be ready when it is," said Tomlin. September 22. Herbert hurt. Justin Herbert came into this Week 3 game with a high ankle sprain, but he played in the 20-10 Chargers loss at Pittsburgh. And now Coach Jim Harbaugh's prized player is exiting this Week 3 game in a protective walking boot. "As soon as I saw Justin got up, first sign of any limp he was coming out of the game," Harbaugh said, "I took him out." The coach did do that, which won't absolve him from criticism centering on the question of whether Herbert should have been playing at all. He left in a boot. September 19. The Steelers are 2-0 and sitting atop the AFC North, and could use some help this weekend in order to stay there. Will Levis injury. Titans QB exits with shoulder injury versus Dolphins as Mason Rudolph makes Tennessee debut. Mason Rudolph has made his regular season debut for the Tennessee Titans. The former Steelers quarterback entered Monday night's game against the Dolphins after starting quarterback Will Levis sustained a shoulder injury on a run midway through the first quarter. Levis, who threw an interception earlier in the quarter, was initially labeled as questionable return to the game. Rudolph, 29, spent his first 6 seasons in the NFL with the Steelers, who selected him in the 3rd round back in 2018. He went 5-3 as the team's starter in 2019 and went 3-0 last season to help Pittsburgh clinch a playoff spot. Rudolph threw for 229 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick in the Steelers' playoff loss to Buffalo this past January. Despite his success, the Steelers elected not to re-sign Rudolph, who completed 63.5% of his passes with 19 touchdowns against 11 picks in 13 starts for Pittsburgh. Rudolph's best game to date was his 290-yard, two-touchdown performance in Pittsburgh's Week 16 win over the Bengals last season. The Bengals' offensive coordinator that night, Brian Callahan, signed Rudolph during his first offseason as the Titans' head coach. It'll be interesting to see if Rudolph can provide a spark for the Titans, who are still in search of their first win. Why Steelers won't trade back for Diontae Jhonson. The Pittsburgh Steelers could be searching for a legit number 2 wide receiver near the trade deadline. Calvin Austin III has stepped up at times, but the wide receiver core still leaves a lot to be desired behind George Pickens. General Manager Omar Khan traded Diontae Jhonson to the Carolina Panthers this offseason and failed to replace his production. Khan took a big swing for Brandon Ayuk but came up short and did not have a plan B. With the Panthers struggling at 1-3 and appearing to be a top 5 draft pick team in 2025, Jhonson could be on the trade block once again. The Panthers might offload some talent and try to acquire some picks if it's a lost season. A reunion for Jhonson in Pittsburgh via a trade is impossible, however, at least for the next 2 years. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network pointed out in the Haason Reddick situation that a team can't trade a player, then reacquire him via trade until 2 years elapse. So the New York Jets won't be sending Reddick back to Philly. Jhonson has recorded 20 receptions for 239 yards, 12.0 average, and 2 touchdowns through 4 games in Carolina. Jhonson's production has picked up in the last 2 games, catching 8 passes for 122 yards and a touchdown in the Panthers' Week 3 win over the Las Vegas Raiders. This past Sunday, he caught 7 receptions for 83 yards and a touchdown in a 34-24 loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler of ESPN floated 2 wide receivers as possible targets for the Steelers at the trade deadline, DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk. Where the Steelers' offense is probably still a little short is at wide receiver, where George Pickens is the nominal number 1 by default but is still working on being a consistently reliable part of the offense, Graziano wrote. The Steelers were active on the wide receiver market in the offseason. Remember, they had a real chance to land Brandon Ayuk had the 49ers not been able to extend him, and I expect them to continue to monitor the receiver trade market as the deadline approaches. Tennessee's DeAndre Hopkins and Jacksonville's Christian Kirk are 2 veterans who could conceivably become available and might be appealing to the Steelers if their teams continue to lose and fall out of the playoff race. Las Vegas Raiders star wide receiver Davante Adams is also another possibility, but he probably would land with the New York Jets if gets traded. The Steelers have the 5th best odds to land Adams in a trade, according to betonline.ag. Adams has denied rumors that he wants out of Las Vegas, but things could change if the Raiders and the offense continue to struggle. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Diontae Jhonson? Leave your opinion in the comments.